All right, ready?
Oh, yeah, I did it 3 times.
Here we go.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Angie.
And I'm Jamie.
We're not porn stars anymore.
No, that's not right. You said it wrong. I don't know why I'm here or what I'm doing.
Did you ever want to know the dirty details of your therapist's life?
Welcome to the Shrink Show.
Maybe the problem is I'm drunk whenever I get here. I don't know.
You're drunk already?
No, I'm not.
Okay, you guys.
That sounded funny.
It's
Hi, guys.
Wednesday, and we film every Wednesday, record every Wednesday.
And we release new episodes every Wednesday. Wednesday's the fucking day. Also, fun fact for those of you who may not know, I was born on a Wednesday, so...
I was born on a Thursday.
Sorry, Wednesdays are better.
I've always liked Thursdays.
I like hump day.
You would. How's your thrusting into the new year going?
Oh, I'm thrusting.
How's your thrusting going? Has anyone else come up with their word of the year yet?
Ooh.
Mine is abundance.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yes.
So how are you going to manifest that in more ways than just material or financial?
I don't know. I'm really going for material and financial right now. But abundance, just of everything. Well, no, honestly, I just think there's an abundance of everything. There's an abundance of time. There's an abundance of love. There's an abundance of fun to be had. I'm just like, yeah, we're going to do it all, and we're going to do it times 100.
Ooh.
Usually I do it times 10, but we added another 0. You see what I did there?
Oh, you made it abundant.
Abundant. We didn't add commas yet. We're not too crazy. Abundance. Bubbles.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Also, for listeners, don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe.
Yes, it's completely free for you. And honestly, it lets us know that you resonate with our conversation, with what we've talked about, with the topic. And it's really important. I can tell you whenever I've received feedback from anyone, whether it's, oh my gosh, I love that so much, I value that, or
I learned this something new that I didn't think of before.
Right. Or, I may not cuss as much, and that's okay. I just got that feedback the other day.
That you cuss too much?
No. She said, I don't cuss as much. Like, she doesn't cuss as much.
Oh.
So, it was a little tough. Because at the beginning, I think I cussed too much. But here's the reality. And I've learned this about myself now. Whenever I am in an uncomfortable situation where I feel like I don't know what I'm doing or I don't fit, I cuss a lot more.
Really?
I do. I think it's my way of grounding, or I don't know, maybe it's my anxiety where I'm just like, fuck!
Jesus Christ.
I know.
See? Really let it out right there.
I did. That felt good.
I only cuss more when I'm drunker, so you guys can guess how many episodes in we are and how many gin and tonics I am in based off of the number of fucks come out. A lot more
fuck is a great cuss word, though.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that one video? It came out back when me and Melissa were in middle school, and they would they were like, fuck. It's the most diverse word.
Oh,
and they're like, fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck. Why don't you go outside and play hide and go fuck yourself?
Ah, yes. It's
a good one.
I
do find it.
I do love, though, how the British and I guess I was about to say it confidently, but now I'm not sure. Australia, I don't know if they do, but I know the Brits use the word cunt like bitch, and I think it's because of their accent that it does not sound as offensive, because they're like, oh, you stupid cunt, there's kind of a ugh to it.
That's because it always sounds elegant with an accent.
It does, but then when we're like cunt, it's like ugh, there's ugh or ugh.
Is that the scientific?
It is. You look at my shirt says science. Needs your brain.
Jesus Christ. Are you drunk right now?
Maybe.
This is our first episode.
Dear God.
Let's focus on what we're going to talk about today.
Which
is we haven't decided yet. Shit. Shit, goddamn.
You know, okay, let's talk about the power of the brain
Okay.
in reference to why EMDR works and why, meditation and um, other techniques that help you live in the present moment work. And I'm going to start it actually with positive thinking. I think people think that I'm insane. And when I say
Well,
this,
and people are now saying there's toxic positivity, and I'm like, okay, let's just settle down.
right, yeah, I'd rather have toxic positivity than, rape and gun violence and
I know.
all the
I
negative
feel like we
hate
need
in
to
the
settle
world,
down.
right?
But go on.
Yeah. So positive thinking. A lot challenge that I often give my students when they are living in this toxic negativity, which is, you know, uh, it is a response to trauma more often than not, right? So if we've come to learn that the bear is always outside the cave, meaning dad's going to beat our ass if we do something, or the world isn't safe because of, white privilege and racism, or, whatever the traumatic thing is, we then respond with negative thinking. We respond to that fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn.
Frozen. Oh, or fawn.
Um, that's the word. I was trying to think of it the other day. Anyway, when our body gets accustomed to that, we never really settle down because we're constantly waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
And we get in this negative thought process where even our thoughts start triggering that within our body. So, positive thoughts, one thing I always ask my students to do is look in the mirror and say, I love you, which they're always like, that's stupid, Miss Stevens. And I'm like, yeah, it is. You're right. I felt awkward as shit when I did it when I was like 16.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that if I didn't love myself, how could I really love outside of me? And so I'd look myself in the eye and I'd say it. And then there was one day where I started actually believing it. And it was so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Or even, I also encourage them to just, if they have that negative thought of, oh, I'm so fucking fat and gross and ugly, which at that time I had those thoughts. I'm like, look at yourself in the mirror if you have a mirror. Otherwise, just reframe that thought to something that is more positive. They're like, well, but I feel like I'm fat and ugly. I can't say I'm not. I'm like, but you don't have to say that. Just reframe, find something positive. Like, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
but you have really beautiful eyes. Your
Mm-hmm.
hair is on point. And it's just that reframing. You then look for what you're grateful for, look for what
Mm-hmm.
is going right, look for what you are, brings you confidence rather than just tearing yourself down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. There's so much power in that. There's so much power in, I mean, what you're challenging to do to your students is forcing them to focus on, well, what is going right or
Mm.
what is working. And I think there's a lot to that because your mind does naturally gravitate towards the negative. And even like looking for the negative or fearing for that bear outside of the cave. I read an article once and they were saying that humans, because we're animals, we naturally will think of the worst case scenario.
Mm.
We will go to that anxious worry of like, oh, this is going to go wrong or this is going to happen, da 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 da. But it's because we're animals. And to be animals, we must survive. And to survive, we must always be on the lookout. And so I think the idea of this positivity is to just implant moments, segments of our day with a little less worry. It doesn't mean we're not upset at our current weight, but I can still be happy with the outfit that I'm wearing today.
Mm-hmm.
I might not like how my stomach looks, but like my hair does look really good. And so it just comes with that balance rather than I only see this negative.
And fixate so
And
much.
then, yep, and then you ruminate, yep, and that just guides your day.
I saw this video, the one I was telling you you should watch, and it basically was talking about survival versus creation. Because when we are in that survival brain, that fight, flight, or freeze, and we're picturing worst case scenario, we're not living in the present. We're
Mm-hmm.
not appreciating the present. How can we create if we are constantly stressed and anxious and thinking about the future?
Mm-hmm.
And it's truly in that pause, that reflection, that gratitude, that silence, that I'm not doing anything, that creation can happen. I was just talking to Beckett about that and explaining how so often people see those moments of doing nothing, quote unquote, as, well, I'm bored because I need to be entertained. So they grab their phone and they start TikToking. They start allowing the world to tell them
Mm-hmm.
what to think.
Yeah.
Or I'm lazy. I feel like I should be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have this shame and guilt. And then they start overthinking rather than seeing it as, I am being so that I may discover something within myself, just sit, something within nature, something within the universe, and
Mm-hmm.
create.
Yeah. Well, and what you're sharing reminds me of when I did EMDR training, they were talking about how when you are in the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn state, how they've done brain scans and they show when, like, when the stimulus is stressful and they do the brain scans, and then when it's calm, your front part of your brain shuts down. So
Mm.
that would be your logic, your critical thinking, your ability to sequence and see and like predict beginning, middle, end based off of what you're like presented with. All of that shuts down. So whenever I get clients who present to me the hypothesis of, well, but I think better under stress, like I work better under stress.
Right.
I always say, well, like scientifically speaking, half of your brain is turned off when you are in the stress
Huh.
level, because we've done brain scans to prove that what I'm saying is fact. And wouldn't you rather be in a stressful situation, but internally, mentally calm? So you are using 100% of your brain, so you can critically think, so you can use that, front part of your brain,
Mm-hmm.
so you can sequence things, so you can fully think and be sequential with your next decision.
Yes.
And so that's where the importance is finding the ability to be grounded, to be in the present moment, and to be not looking for just this outside stimulus, just to be promoting some sort of brain activity.
Well, then you can also learn. I was just talking with somebody about you can learn to trust your intuition, your gut, and your heart, because our brain, it plays tricks on us. It has a three-dimensional understanding of the world. And I'm not saying there's not value in the brain. There's so much value, but it 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 keeps us stuck if that is the only thing we are listening to. You know, that instinct of, you meet somebody and you're like, oh man, I don't know, something just feels off. But then your brain starts thinking, well, but they said this and they're doing this and they're,
It fills in gaps.
yeah,
Your
they're
brain fills in gaps.
they're
Philanthropic.
philanthropic. Thank you. They're philanthropic and they say kind things and they're really out there doing, and then they're fucking human trafficking in the back, in the back, and you have no idea, but there's something, your gut always can feel that. So trusting your gut and trusting those instincts. That video also said something about how when we're in that fight, flight, freeze, and we're constantly thinking of the worst case scenario, and we're like, and we're super stressed, our immune system becomes suppressed.
Oh yeah, all of your systems shut down when you're in it. Did
So
you
that's
know
why
that?
I didn't, but that's why they were saying that's why they give folks who are like going through certain medical procedures, they will give them stress-causing chemicals or hormones or something, because they need their immune system suppressed so that it doesn't fight whatever new, like maybe it's a transplant or something like that, so it doesn't fight it off.
Well, because think about it. So this is where I get really on my soapbox of like people who are on.
I like when Jamie gets on her soapbox.
Oh
I'm just
God,
saying.
everyone strap on. We're about to go.
Strap it on.
Because again, there's research that shows, when we're in an anxious state, when we're in fight, flight, or freeze, just like you said, all of your systems shut down. So that includes your immune system, your circulatory system, your digestive system, all
Your
of our,
nervous system,
yeah,
everything.
nervous system, all of our major systems. Think about it. Anxiety, it's an inflammation, right?
Mm.
So, because think about it this way. How often have you heard the term of stress headaches, right?
Mm-hmm,
Or
mm-hmm.
people who are stressed out and they have to poop. Like they all of a sudden are like, oh God, I gotta go to the bathroom. Or they feel like they need to throw up, like they're gagging. And then think about it this way. Think about chronic stress, chronic anxiety, my high stressed out people, people who aren't like, mentally doing the greatest. They tend to have those comorbid diseases of like fibromyalgia,
Oh,
of
rheumatoid
obesity,
arthritis was one that they
yeah, of
said.
obesity, of
Lupus.
diabetes,
It's
yep.
never lupus.
Yeah. I just, I'm sure all of those diagnoses are real and exist. Yes. However, I want to, like all the clients I know, what I am gathering is these people have been under chronic anxiety and stress, majority, if not all of their lives. And if they are constantly inflamed, meaning so think about it. The reason why you get stress headaches is your circulatory system is not fully functioning to its greatest capacity. That's why a lot of times people get numbness or tingling in their fingers, hands, toes, and feet when you're stressed because your body is
Or your eye
literally
twitches.
ready. Your body's literally ready to run away or to like fight. So it's losing its feeling so you can fight your way for survival.
Hmm.
Even though you're not literally in a life or death situation, you are just stressed out. Now think about chronically speaking, if that goes on for a long period of time, what the fuck's that doing to your body?
It takes its
What
toll.
is that doing to your heart that's pumping so much harder and faster because it thinks, "Oh my God, we're not getting blood to our fingertips.
Whoa.
What the fuck?" And
Like
then
you're running a
imagine,
goddamn marathon every day.
yeah, and this is why people typically have trouble either keeping weight on or getting weight off when they are in chronic anxiety or stress because your digestive system isn't functioning correctly. It's thinking, well, we've got to run away from danger, so I've got to throw up this food, I've got to poop out this food,
Or even
because I don't have time to absorb the nutrients that I'm eating because we're about to die.
So could that also be, like for those who might struggle to get pregnant? Because I feel like your body, let's say you're in that survival mode, your body's gonna be like, fuck no, we cannot bring a child into the world right now. We are not safe. We are like fucking running for our lives.
Well, and I describe it to clients in this way. I say your brain is very black and white thinking. The front part of our brain, meaning the part that feels feelings, tries to fill in the gaps with the, oh, but da 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 da. But your brain, because think about it in the sense of like it fills up to a line, and then once it passes the line, you're stressed, right? You're anxious. It has too much cortisol, so now you've reached the level of fight, flight, or freeze. Now we have probably adapted to, well, I'm just used to this level of intensity, so it's fine because I work a lot and I really don't get a lot of sleep and I drink a lot of coffee, but it's fine. I'm fine. And so
we need that mug right now.
So we reach this line. But when that happens, your brain thinks, okay, well, shut down all the systems that I listed off earlier. And of course, it's going to think, well, we're about to die. And I joke about it with my clients. I say, see, your brain's in the part where it thinks it's about to die, even though you cognitively know, oh, I'm stressed out because I'm running late. You cognitively know you're not gonna die,
but
your body is reacting in a way where you're like, oh my God, oh my fucking God, and you're like stressed out, your heart's racing, you're having difficulty swallowing, you're probably numbness, tingling in your fingertips when you're gripping your steering wheel in traffic, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're probably not exhaling because again, your circulatory system, your respiratory system, it's not working correctly. Remember, you're reaching that state of crossing that threshold of too high of cortisol. So that's why I'm like, exhale, you guys. Let's bring these levels of cortisol down because your systems are shutting down and you're not about to die, but your brain doesn't know. Your brain isn't connected to that part of the logic. It only knows your cortisol's too high, shut down. because it
So
wants you to survive.
one thing he said in that video, survival versus creation, and we can link it
Oh yeah,
in
I'll
the
plug it in.
notes. But one of the things he said was, and I hope I'm remembering the T word, but living in that kind of toxic stress for hours to days is called a mood, right? I'm just not in the mood. I'm just not feeling it. Like God, I'm just super down. Like, what's the point of the world? What's the point of, and we all kind of experienced that during COVID. We're like, what is the fucking point? But then experiencing that same level of toxic stress constantly, worst case scenario, anxiety, all of that system shutdown over weeks or months, you're now looking at, it started with a T, and I want to say he said tendency, but something where it's more like you're more likely a trait or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it wasn't a trait. It was tendency, maybe. I don't know. Fuck. I should remember.
Words are hard.
Anyway,
Science.
but going even farther into years, now you have a personality trait. So when it becomes that personality trait, it is what you know, it is where you are comfortable. And that, I think, is
Oh,
where
like
that...
you're just moving down the spectrum of like, oh, this is
Yes.
just a mood. Oh, no, this is just a tendency. Oh, no, this is who the fuck you are.
This is who I am.
Like you're just a stressed out person.
And so then
we've met those people.
Yes, but then how often do we get stuck? I'm just anxious. I just have anxiety.
Yeah, and then when you start verbalizing, well, I'm just a stressed out person. I'm just a stressed out person.
I function better in stress. I do better in stress.
I do better last minute. I always work last minute.
I love when we're always with other people, we talk like this.
That's how the people talk.
Is that how everybody talks in your world? Because that's how they talk.
Everyone talks.
No, but it is such a thing. And so the thing that was the best about this video was he went to that point of you literally can change your physical health, your emotional health, anything with the power of your mind, your ability to be present, your ability to not engage in that worst case scenario, your ability to exist in energy, and it transcends time. And ultimately, he was saying how his evidence was the placebo effect.
Oh, yeah.
And how 50% of pills truly are placebo. There isn't actually anything healing about it. It is simply our brain thinks, ooh, this is going to help. This pill is going to fix everything. Which is why people who take sugar pills and don't know it and think it's something else are miraculously healed.
Right.
That is the power of our brain.
Right. Absolutely.
Our brain can heal those things within our body.
Well, and is it the power of your brain, or is it the fact that you calmed your fucking tits because you thought, okay, I'm taking the right medicine, I'm going to get better. So imagine,
I'm going to go with calm your tits,
because then your cortisol level went just down a notch for you to exhale. That's why I always tell my clients, I'm like, even in session, they'll be describing something. I'm like, can you exhale? Like, you've just spoken for 10 minutes in one breath. Like, exhale. Because your body thinks it can't breathe. Like, your body is perceiving it as suffocating, but you're not.
Survival.
Yeah. And so it's just, okay, I took this magical pill, so everything's better. And again, yeah, maybe you have other symptoms, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's totally a placebo effect of just you exhaled for just 4 seconds.
That is a good point. I love that. Like, I took this pill, so everything's okay. Whew. And I think that's why there's so many trends in healthcare of do this, it will fix you. And I think that's why clickbait is so powerful, because this one thing, people
and then you're holding your breath because you click and you're like, what is it? What is it? What is it?
Yeah. And then it never is what you think. It's so funny because over the holiday season, we were doing a little bit of work on our house, which was stressful, but to me, that's a manageable stress. Like,
you seem stressed out for a hot minute.
I was very stressed, but manageable. Okay, listen.
You needed to exhale for like 3 times.
Maybe. I did because I was putting all of the pressure of everything, taking on everything. It was manageable in the sense that I knew what I was getting, what I was wanting from one point to the next.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't this unknown. There wasn't this like, oh, what if? It was like, okay, well, I go from point A to point B and
Yeah.
then whatever. But the entire time I struggled. I went on this back and forth, and it was really healing for me of this guilt from, I'm not able to do the podcast. I had to cancel a session because I was super, super stressed. I wasn't focusing at all on my nonprofit stuff, and there were so many things that I should have been doing with that. Like there was so many shoulds,
Sure. Oh, those
and
shoulds, they'll fuck you.
right, and I yet at the same time, my brain almost completely shut down to where I was like, I don't really want to think about this, so I'm just gonna be in this moment.
Oh,
And
so you reached the phase of you had so much cortisol for such a period of time you dissociated. Because
yes.
that's what happens. You go to the next phase of you check out
Hmm.
and so in mental health world you call it dissociation. In hypnosis world you call it trance, but you are checked out because you feel so good up here
Yep.
thinking about
Yep.
nothing.
Yes.
That's daydreaming for
Yes.
other term. Like we can AKA it all you want, but they're all the same fucking thing.
I seriously was in this, I feel like for 2 to 3 weeks. And I just met with my lawyer from my 501c3 on Monday.
Ooh.
And I said, she's like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm so sorry that
I've been better.
like I was off grid. No, actually I was fine.
Yeah.
But here's what, I was like, I've been off grid for like 3 weeks. My
Oh.
bad.
Yeah.
And I said, and here's where I'm at. I'm kind of like, I feel like I should have shame and feel guilty about it because that's what I've been accustomed to falling into, but I don't, because I also realize now that I need periods of silence and thinking about nothing
Yeah.
so that I can receive the wisdom from the universe and be inspired and manifest.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I like it. And I was like, cool, cool, cool. You're not mad. Great.
Good.
Even if you were, there's nothing
That's
I'm gonna do about
that's
it.
on her to figure out.
Right.
Yeah.
It was powerful. But it just showed me how scared we are of silence, of boredom, of being alone with our own thoughts or not being productive because we don't see thinking as productivity.
Well, and oh shoot, what was the quote I told you where it's a trauma response or it could we like this is where I'm having trouble with the word trauma altogether.
I am too. I'm
And so I'm
really
trying to
triggered
figure
by
out
the
what
word trauma.
I know, but I want to think of a better word for it because I think in our How Did the Trauma Cross the Road episode, I was really trying, and I'm sure you were too, but I feel like we were really trying to explain to people everyone has had trauma. Don't think of trauma as what you think trauma is. And so maybe all it is this high cortisol, this over stressed out, over anxious, whatever you want to call it. If you have ever experienced too much cortisol in your life, all it is just finding the ability to bring it back down. But
so it's like survival. It's
because
something that causes us to feel out of
we've
control.
all been out of control. So what can I? But even that, it's like I don't resonate with that. But I understand where you're going with that, and that's why I'm like there needs to be a better term for trauma. For too much cortisol in your brain.
Well, let's fucking come up with it. Or if anybody has any
think of it,
ideas, because I agree with you. Like the word trauma, I'm so fucking sick of that word. I really am.
I just want something that's a blanket statement that everyone can say yes. And I don't want it to be everyone says yes and uses it against other people because I dislike that that's also being used. I hate that. This is my trauma. I don't do that. No, stop it. I don't like those people either.
Or even just like buzzwords. Like now,
it's just too much.
I have like fucking 10, 11, and 12-year-olds who are trying to figure out if they're bisexual or heterosexual. And I'm like, listen, can we just stop trying to put it? I'm like, here's where I'm at. You can love whomever you want to love. That's it. You don't need to put a label. It's like, I don't understand this need that we have to label everything. We all have fucking pain. Why can't we just call it pain?
I know.
We all have
I
sadness.
know. Why do we have
We
to
all have stress.
justify it? And
Like,
so,
why does it have to be trauma? It's because of fucking DSM. It's because of fucking therapists.
no,
I'm just kidding.
it's not me. Quit
No.
targeting me.
Obviously,
I'm
a
doing
therapist
a
too.
great job.
You are doing a fucking fantastic job. I'll drink to that.
I'll
Cheers.
drink to that. I had a point I was
Cheers.
saying and I completely forgot. I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry, listeners. I was saying something.
Because I interrupted you. You were talking about, you were giving me a quote. You had told me a quote about trauma and you were thinking of a better word.
I know I had a point and then I got distracted by I want a better word for trauma. And I wanted to say something about it.
I do want a better word for trauma.
I do want a better word for trauma, but I also had a point about where I was going with that. Damn.
Well, ultimately,
You keep talking. It'll be fine.
Ultimately, we are a very addictive society. We literally become addicted to anything. You know, my 15-year-old was talking about, well, I had said how TikTok, like we're addicted and it says dopamine high. And he's like, well, why would you want to take happiness away from people? And I'm like, because...
Well, sit down, Beckett.
I know. Because I'm like, because it is not always benevolent. Like, so we're perceiving this as happiness. Okay, well, let's take cigarette smoking back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. They encouraged pregnant mothers to smoke. There were videos or like commercials in the 70s and 80s of rugged, fucking amazing men and gorgeous women smoking, encouraging young kids to smoke. Like it was,
Right.
it was this
And
enticing
they had the animal,
thing.
yeah, the little moose guy.
Right. Money
Yeah.
driven. That was Camel. That was that was my preferred cigarette at the beginning.
Camel.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a smoker.
Marlboro was the
I've
big
never
burly
smoked
guy.
a cigarette.
Ever?
No.
That is amazing. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So
Dare really got to me.
Oh, yes. Yes.
My siblings will laugh because they know.
I love Dare.
I was the good kid in the family, so my siblings will know.
I love that you were the good kid.
Yeah.
Because
I saw my mom.
love that we're fucking opposite.
I saw my mom freak out on my older siblings, and I remember thinking, well, I don't want that to happen. Like, mom's tiny, but she will choke you.
Well, you learned how to play the game.
I did. I'm a good liar.
You are good at playing the game.
I can play the fucking game.
This is what makes you a great therapist.
I know, right?
Because you have the power of your brain. The brain can adapt.
Well, okay, so I feel like because I can't remember the fucking point I was about to say, it's gone. The gin has kicked in. I haven't had.
Are you feeling?
How
are you feeling in your body?
I'm already buzzed. I'm going to be honest. I've only had one lunch today. I didn't have any dinners.
Well, I may or may not have eaten like
You ate
half a pound of fudge. Already.
I gifted her fudge for Christmas.
Yes.
Anyways.
It was delicious. Thank you.
No. What I want the listeners to leave with is, do you have, I have one, and I'm sure we can discuss more, remedies to bring you back into your present self, to bring that cortisol level down so we're no longer in dissociation, trance, daydreaming, but we're in the fucking present. Because I feel like we went down a wormhole of like, stop stressing out, you guys. Now let's give them remedies.
Okay.
What do you do for that? Just in the sense of, like, exhale. I'll start with, okay, I have two. So I'll start with, if you're a smoker of anything, I always tell my smokers, you are the best at breathing exercises. Because you take in an intentional breath in and you hold it, and an intentional breath out, and typically the exhale is longer than the inhale, which is perfect. So I always tell my smokers, when you're smoking, whatever it is that you're smoking, take a breath of just pure oxygen without whatever it is up to your mouth. Just try it. Just try it on for shits. To practice the idea of an intentional breath in and an intentional breath out.
What's so funny is when I quit smoking, that was one of the things that I always said was I would get my like 10 to 15 minute break that I could justify from work Because when you don't smoke,
Yeah.
where do you justify taking that break?
Yeah.
Right? Because I need an addiction, obviously, to justify. I can't just go sit
Yeah.
and
do nothing.
do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's not justifiable. I need to either smoke or whatever, or work, continue working. But I always said I would take those deep breaths, and then I stopped smoking. So when was I getting those? I actually, along those lines, I would love to do a deep breath right now.
Let's do it, everybody.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't lead yoga or any of that shit. Like, I'm not saying shit. It's amazing. I just don't. I actually find so much value.
I always just say, because I don't want to count for people because I don't know their lung capacity or whatever it is.
I always get very stressed when they do that.
And
I'm like, I can't exhale that long.
I mostly get stressed as the teacher. I don't get stressed as the student. So
okay.
I just tell my listeners, everybody, even if you're driving, you can fucking do this,
yes.
Okay? Or doing chores or whatever. Chirp's working right now. He's listening to this.
Just stop what you're doing.
But even as you're doing what you're doing, because I want people to learn coping skills because this is where I say, use a coping skill that's adaptable to where you are. Breathing, you can use fucking anywhere. You can use it in a waiting room. You can use it at work. You can use it going to the bathroom. You can use it with your kids. You can do it in front of people. No one fucking knows. So even if you're working chirp, you can do this. I'm talking to Kurt. And so you can just take an intentional breath in through your nose and hold it however comfortable, and exhale through your mouth however comfortable. And because you are breathing, you can do it quietly. You can do it with like a very clear, if you want it to be loud, because no one's around you, that's fine. And then just check in with your body. Like, notice where you are breathing. Because I also ask clients, where are you breathing? Are you breathing up high in your chest? Are you breathing in the midsection near your diaphragm? Are you breathing low near your tummy? Just notice it. Just be curious.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it?
So one of the things that breathing does is it allows you to be present. And I think, honestly, I truly feel like, for me anyway, and you can say if this works for you, but the remedy to toxic stress, because toxic stress is, ironically, even though it's supposed to be a response to this moment, it is rarely in our society a response to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
It is a memory or a fear in the future. And being present, I just have to kind of laugh at this because I'm kind of understanding this right now.
Like you're having an epiphany.
I am, because if you think about that fight, flight, or freeze response, it truly was instilled within us, because if there's a goddamn T-Rex, we need to know how to respond in that moment.
Right.
But once the T-Rex is gone, we now can calm and we can live in the present. But the irony is now it has nothing to do with the present. It has everything to do with what has been or what could be. And then we panic.
Mm-hmm.
So being in the present is what calms us. So that breathing. 2 other things I do. One is...
other remedies.
I think of at least 3 things that I am grateful for. And I like to look around the room. And find out what I'm grateful for. And I could be at the doctor's office, and it might be, mm-hmm. I'm grateful for the sunlight coming in the windows. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful for the possibility to have my medical care covered by insurance, mm-hmm. whatever it is. So gratefulness, breathing. Why am I forgetting my 3rd one? I had it in my mind.
You're just not grateful for 3 things, huh?
Fuck. No, my 3rd technique. It was gratefulness. Paying attention to your body.
Oh.
So your body helps you be mindful. So there's so many times where if I actually start literally paying attention, I notice so often in between my eyes, you know how like when you furrow your brows, like you can feel that. right?
It's
When you intentionally
like
do it.
that thing where they say it takes more muscles to frown than to smile.
Right. Oh yeah. Like when men say that to women. Yeah, love it.
Fuck you, men.
Because women are not allowed to look serious,
No,
right?
I thought that was a literal thing where they say it's more muscles to frown than to smile. I don't think
It
it's a
does, but
man
not your
thing.
furrowed brow. Anyway, regardless, I'm saying, okay, so if you furrow your brow really intensely right now, I look
I
really
don't
cool.
like to, it hurts.
But then you release it, you can feel the release.
Yeah.
And there are times where I will pay attention and I'll just be like, well, pay attention to this spot and just relax it. And it's amazing how I didn't even notice how not relaxed like my face was,
Mm-hmm.
how tense my face was.
Yeah.
And sometimes the best way to untense it is to like shrug your shoulders really, really big and tense them really, really, really intense
Mm-hmm.
and then release.
Yes.
That helps you be present because you are focusing only on your
On your
body.
body. Yeah. Okay, so I have some. Let me show you, let me share with you
Ooh,
mine. Okay,
do I have
mine
to
are
get
from some EMDR trainings.
do I have to
Okay,
get in position?
so okay, I'll do the first one. You can do even when driving, you can do maybe when working, it kind of depends. Okay, it's better if well, for beginners, it would be easier if you're sitting, but you can do it while standing. So imagine like, like what oh, sorry, listener, I attacked you. You remember when what your pelvis bone looks like when you're sitting?
Mm-hmm.
So you have like sit bones that are like literally in like the direct middle of your butt cheeks, like
Yeah.
on each side.
Am I supposed to touch them right now?
Well, this is for my YouTubers. Like you
Can I be like my
you can
daughter and just
you
shove
can
my hand
touch.
down my diaper?
No,
Stresses me
no.
out.
I'm going for touching the sit bones, which would be like your pelvic bones, and then your hip bones. And imagine it's like making a square. So like you're going from your hip bones up top to your sit bones down bottom, and then connect the dots so it makes a square, right?
In my mind?
Yeah, just in your mind.
Oh.
So you can touch it just to know where it's at if you don't know, and you can visualize it. So directly in the very center of that square you've made.
My vulva.
In your vulva, okay? Um, for our non-vulva owners, it would just be in your pelvic floor, okay? So imagine, again, you're just imagining that space in between your pelvis, the very direct middle.
Okay.
So in there is our vagus nerve. Angie, get your shit together. Angie's losing it, listeners. Angie is losing it because we said
I'm
vulva.
like a fucking teenage boy.
She doesn't know what to do with the word vulva. So everyone exhale. Yes, everyone exhale. Angie, I'm talking to you. And so imagine the very direct middle of that square or rectangle that we've created, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right in the center of that is called our vagus nerve. So that, because it's a nerve, it gets constricted when that cortisol level goes too high, when we get stressed out, right? So we want to loosen the vagus nerve. So the simplest way is imagine when I tell clients just breathe normally. Don't even intentionally take a breath in or out. If you want to, bonus points, but if you don't stress out. Breathe regularly, but with every exhale, imagine loosening all 4 points of that corner and loosening that vagus nerve that's in the direct middle of that
Oh my
square
God, I can
that we
totally
made.
feel it. Is it
And
almost like where your root chakra is?
yes, if you're spiritual and you believe in chakras, that is the root chakra we're talking about. If you don't believe in root chakras, it is a vagus nerve. That's scientific. It's a vagus nerve. Now remember, it's a nerve. So when there's a nerve that remember if like you have a pinched nerve or a not pinched nerve, how quickly that sends the message to your brain, I'm stressed out, the world is coming to an end. But when you purposefully, with every exhalation, release that vagus nerve, release the tension in your pelvic floor, or release the tension just in between your pelvis. The other visualization is imagine with every exhalation, you're inhaling a balloon and you're trying to get your hips to fill your seat as big as your hips can go, right? And in theory, if you practice this and do it correctly, it will not only happen immediately because it's a nerve ending that you are releasing, but you can practice it and it become faster, quicker, easier, etc.
Well, it's kind of like with everything.
Yeah,
Like I
it's
feel
like trying, it's like that's why you learn CPR on a dummy because you want to know how to help somebody who's choking when they're about to die quickly and efficiently. So you practice on someone who is not literally dying, so you're not in the high cortisol state.
Well, but even in anything that we're trying to overcome, like I look at my students, I use them all the time, but let's say I have one student who is physically aggressive every single day. And then our goal obviously is for him to stop being physically aggressive. And then suddenly he starts applying coping skills and relaxation techniques and whatever it is. And he's physically aggressive every 3 days. You know, it's so quick for folks to be like, he's still physically aggressive. We're failing. And I'm like, but are we? Because it's now every 3 days.
Yeah.
And then it becomes every 5 days, and then every 10 days, and then every 30.
Or like
and it
maybe
just starts
it's every
to
3,
dissipate.
every 5, every 3, rather than every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that really is something we can apply to everything. We just become stronger and better, and we can do it quicker and with more knowledge and just more confidence.
Yeah.
We have control and power. We are safe. It's okay to live in the moment and just stare.
We can exhale for a minute.
We don't
You can
have...
loosen that vagus nerve, girlfriends. Fill your seat, your balloon. Yes.
And even just recognizing that sometimes if we can give permission to ourselves to do quote unquote nothing, then we give permission to others.
Yeah.
I have a puzzle in my office that sometimes when I'm talking to students, if they like puzzles, I'll have them puzzle with me.
Yeah.
There are other times where people will walk in and I am puzzling by myself. And I at first started justifying to them, like, I need this time to like think. This helps my brain. Like it distracts
You had to tell
me
them.
enough to think. And then I started realizing, why do I have to justify what I need? If they have judgments of me, that has everything to do with them because I know what I'm doing.
Oh, yes, girl. Look at you doing the work.
Fucking doing it.
Yes.
Do you know what I am?
All right. What's your mug?
I am no drama llama.
Oh, yes, girl.
And in this regard, it's not that I'm just ignoring the drama that other people are or aren't, whatever. But I'm not creating that own drama within myself. Like, how often are we like, ooh, so-and-so's going to be mad, or I'm going to get in trouble, or I'm not doing what I should be doing. Like, we create so much drama in our own brains.
Change your thoughts.
Change your thoughts. You're so
Exhale.
beautiful and amazing, and you already have all of the wisdom within you. You just need to relax.
Also, what's inside of your mug when you take a drink?
Oh, it's in my mug. I thought it was in yours.
No.
Oh.
Did you not read it every drink you took?
Well, no, because look, it's very like...
Oh, okay. Well, I really filled it with lime.
Yeah.
I like the lime.
I like the lime.
Sorry.
Put the lime and the coconut. I'm drinking both up.
I'm drinking both up.
Inside my mug, it says, be cool. Because obviously... This is a no drama llama wearing his sunglasses.
And he's saying, be cool.
And he might be wearing his sunglasses at night because he doesn't give a fuck.
It was so aggressive. Anyways, my mug is a gingerbread man saying, oh, snap. I don't know how I can apply it to this episode, but I'm going to say, oh, snap. Like,
not my gumdrop button.
No, not my gumdrop button.
Well,
that was the funniest. Shrek was the first of like all those animated movies
really
to be
was.
funny as shit. And I remember I was sitting in the front fucking row with Melissa, and I was dying, like kicking and like dying. And I'm like, this is the funniest shit
Are
I've
you wearing ladies' underwear?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man! This is the funniest. Oh God, that was what hooked me under those like I like Disney movies already, but then that was the start of all of my like adulthood cartoons, and I'm like, you guys,
You guys.
you did it.
Okay, I got it. You ready?
Help.
Okay, so gingerbread cookie. What happens when he's snapped? He's broken. He's broken in half. So he's living in toxic stress because he's always fearful of being snapped instead of just living in the moment and recognizing that
He should have exhaled.
yes, he needs to exhale and just run.
You can run as fast as I can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. My kids read the Gingerbread Kid every
I love
night.
that when I say that shit, you just know exactly what I'm fucking referencing.
But that's also because I'm not referencing you. I'm referencing my life as to reading this fucking story to my kids every fucking night. It's Maddox's story every night. But it's a gingerbread kid at school. I'm the gingerbread kid. You can't catch me. I'm run as fast as I can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread kid. It's a little shit.
Ew, he says kid?
Yeah, because it's a kid at school.
Yes, but that bothers me because it's as fast as I can. Man.
Gingerbread man.
So it should be as fast as I skid? I don't know.
No, I'm the gingerbread man. You can't run as fast as I can. I'm the gingerbread man.
Yes, but you just said it was
Rhyming.
kid.
I know, but
Kid
the
doesn't
book,
rhyme with can.
the book is called The Gingerbread Kid. Okay?
Yeah,
we
well,
can yell at the author. I'll bring in the book and we'll
seriously.
yell at him the next episode.
We might need to. All right.
Anyways, wow, we derailed.
We love you.
Love
Take
you.
care of your thoughts and your brain. You're amazing.
Try your breathing. Bye.
Bye.
Why do we end every episode?
Because we're awkward.
If
If you think we're cool,
or even if you don't,
please like or subscribe so you'll stay up to date on all things The Shrink Show.
feel free to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at The Shrink Show.
You can also visit our website at theshrinkshowpodcast.com to check out some of our merch, submit your episode topic requests, tell us a funny story, or even donate money or gin to the cause.
Thank you for choosing to spend a portion of your life with us. And remember, don't take yourself too seriously. Life is all a giant shrink show.
A Huda Media Production.
Side effects of listening to this podcast may include side aches or snorting from laughter, impromptu jazz hands, nodding in agreement even though you might be listening alone, an occasional "you said it, girl," and mild cases of existential dread. This podcast is strictly for entertainment and informative purposes only and is not intended or implied to diagnose, treat, or otherwise substitute for professional mental health, medical, legal, or other advice. Thank you.